So, hi everyone. So, I have with me Wendy today. She is a past client of mine from like about a year ago. We started working together a little over
Yeah,
a
I
year.
think it was a year ago. I think it was March of 2021.
Yeah. And we
Yeah.
finished up in the middle of summer. And then yeah, just reached out and thought to have Wendy. Well, actually, I'd wanted to have her on for a long time, right? So Wendy is picking her fingers, has been. It seems to be the most common skin picking. We thought it was the face before, but as far as on my YouTube channel, more people are watching the finger picking videos for the last several years, really. Actually, I only had one up for years, and it was just a terrible quality video, and then I put one up about probably a year ago, actually not even. And that's consistently been the top performing video. So I definitely want to get some more content for
Mhm.
the people who are struggling with picking at their fingers. So Wendy, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how, your journey with this whole picking thing?
Yeah, so I mean, I was picking my hangnails as I always say, but picking around my fingers forever. Like I can't remember when I didn't. And I guess it started probably in junior high. I did it all the time. I didn't even think about doing it. I remember when I got married, I wore band-aids on every finger so that my hands would look good. And quickly went back into it. And during COVID, I decided, okay, I've had enough. I was also starting to feel some strain in my thumbs as well from doing it so often. So I said, okay, enough's enough. I've got to find some ways to figure out how to battle this after all these years, because it's been a really long time. So that's when I came across your books and some of the helpful things that you'd posted around picking, and started to work with you. So, as you know, Annette, I tried all the different things that you recommended. And some of those I've been really good about staying with. And some of those I would say I've lapsed a little bit. So
Mhm.
this is kind of an interesting time for us to talk about it. I'd been pretty successful. And so now it's
Yeah.
trying to get back on track a little bit.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, from what I remember, you were very successful with, stopping the actual picking behavior. Your fingers had healed completely, but you were still kind of bothered by, you were still like rubbing your fingers together,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And that was your only behavior, I think, for many, many months. Is that right?
It is, yeah. It's kind of a fidgety behavior, I would say. So I know you and I worked on a lot of things to reduce anxiety,
Mhm.
because that's just fundamental, I think, to my being. Drinking half calf and tapping and meditation and a lot of things that I continue to do.
Yeah.
But I still was fidgeting a lot, but I had learned how to fidget without picking. And so the fidgeting part had never totally gone away, though I would say it was better. I still would do a lot of fidgeting and moving around with my fingers. And maybe that's sort of how falling back into it, the fidgety went back to a little bit of
Mhm.
picking. Mhm.
Yeah, so let's kind of try to figure out like
Yeah.
either what, quote unquote went wrong, not to say, like everything's gone wrong, but like
Right.
and how to, maybe get you back on track. But before we get into that, I'd love for you to tell everyone, what are the things that were most helpful for you. And actually first I think it's also
Mhm.
important to say like when this is happening, during your day mostly.
Right. For me, it's mostly during work. So what I find, and I think I always found, was that I wasn't being very mindful. My mind is, commonly referred to as monkey mind. I guess it's
Mhm.
constantly thinking about something, constantly just churning over something. And so what I'll realize is that I'm picking when it's not a very mindful activity. So um and it seems like it's almost always about work or related to work or during work that I'm doing most of the picking. Although funny, like I would pick during the night as well.
Mhm.
And I don't know if that was just because I anxiety or whatever that was.
Maybe you're dreaming about working.
Maybe I do dream about working. I do.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So it
Mhm.
could be very much that case, but it's always, yeah, it's always a non-mindful activity, let's say.
Yeah, like you're
Yeah,
thinking about things, you're
something
focused
else.
on your work, and
Exactly.
your body is still for the most part. You've been sitting maybe many hours.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so that's really helpful. I'm sure a lot of people are in the same boat that are watching this. So, what are the interventions or things that you found the most helpful? Maybe.
Yeah. It took me a while, as you know, but I reduced my caffeine intake a lot. And that certainly helped with, I would say, the fidgeting overall and just being a
Mhm.
more calm person. I started out doing tapping and found that also very helpful, and have now transitioned to daily meditation. So that's
Mhm.
also helped me to be a much more, I would say, um, just to reduce my overall kind of fidgety level. So that's helped. I do gloves at night. I do bag balm still, bag balm all over the cuticles to try to keep them soft so there's not some target there. I have cuticle scissors wherever I am. I do the squeezing of my fingers. I try to, if I'm being mindful, I'll squeeze instead of pick, which that's helped a lot. When I started out, I did bandages, finger socks, anything to try to just get out of the behavior
Yeah.
of doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of different
Mhm.
things.
A lot of different things.
That's really like usually what it takes for people. I was just looking at one of my clients' halfway check-ins this week, and man, she had about 20 things that helped her. And that's, sometimes that's what it is. It's just, small improvements in a lot of areas cumulatively will make a big difference.
Totally agree. It
Yeah.
wasn't one silver bullet for me. It was the combination. And I think, you know, the reason, and I changed jobs in February.
Mhm.
And though this job, I love this job and I'm really enjoying it, I think what I didn't realize is that it's, even though it doesn't feel as stressful to me, of course it's stressful because it's new and I have a lot on my mind and I'm trying to learn this new job. And that's where maybe I let my guard down a little bit in thinking about the things that I needed to do. And you know, I did the number one rule, which is, oh, just a little bit won't hurt.
Mhm.
And once you start that, then you've got some loose spot that's very favorable for picking.
Yeah.
So, and then you need to give them time to heal. So there's not something to pick there. So I would say just letting my guard down and not thinking I was all that stressed,
Mhm.
but recognizing for yourself that any big change like that is going to
Mhm.
create some stress in your life. And so you've got to almost in some ways be more mindful when you're
Mhm.
going through some kind of transition like that to stick with the things that work for sure.
Yeah, that's great advice. Yeah, that it's so much is changing.
Yeah,
Don't change, the things that we're helping too, because yeah,
exactly.
but
Exactly.
that's really normal. I mean, we get caught up in something new, and you were abstinent from the picking then probably about more than half a year, right?
I was, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
was. Yep.
So that's great. Okay, so what are the things that you feel like you've let go of that maybe would make a difference?
For sure, I would say taking breaks. So that's one of the other things that I did is just step away from it. And we've also returned to the office in March. And so being in the office and getting consumed of being in the office and not, you know, like work at home, it was easier probably to step away from it. So I need
Mhm.
to step away from it and get back in a mindful, because I do find that if I'm been sitting there for a long time, then I start to, you know, to do it not mindfully. The squeezing, just some of the, you know, going back to the list of things. Oh yeah, that worked for sure. The squeezing worked. I need to do
Mhm.
that
That's like just
more
literally
often.
taking the sides of your fingers and squeezing
Yeah,
them. Yeah, just
right.
'cause nobody out there knows.
Yeah,
What
helps
you're
me
doing,
immensely. Help just to give
right?
my hands something to do for
Yeah,
sure. Yep.
yeah. Gives them something to do, and the pressure is very calming
It
also to our
that it is.
system there. Very
Exactly.
cool.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, this is super, super common with finger picking. It's that it happens more when we're sitting for too long. We all need to take more breaks. And that's like they've just shown, gosh, I read something the other day, books out there, of course, but not in here. But, they were talking about a study. It basically showed moving every hour decreased our overall mortality rate, like the chance that you would die within a given period of time by 30%,
Right.
just by like even if you didn't exercise. It was like just keeping the body moving and circulating. It's huge, like just getting a little bit of movement, at least at minimal once an hour. So, sometimes you might find yourself absorbed and what it's like 2 or 3 hours have gone by.
Oh, for sure. I mean, because I'm in meetings constantly. I can go from one to the other to the other.
Oh, at least you have to walk now probably to
Yeah,
go
that, I mean,
from a
that
meeting.
sometimes that helps,
That's
but
good.
most of our meetings are like hybrid types of things now. So
Okay.
you're on your camera anyway, but yeah.
Oh, so you're at your desk on your camera even though you're on site in an
A
office.
lot of times, yeah, a
Okay.
lot of times. If it's fortunate, then yeah, it's a meeting in person. So you get up and go to the meeting. But I, get up and walk around, get up and, go to lunch. Those kinds of things
Yeah.
are critical for me. So I'm not, I don't fall into mindless picking because it's
Yeah.
mostly mindless picking. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I do wear the Oura ring and I just got an Apple Watch. So both of those things now are alerting me when it's time to take a break and stand
Oh,
up.
good.
So
Yeah.
double alerts. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. I'm curious, with the Aura Ring,
Mhm.
has your sleep been disrupted at all since your new job?
You know what? My sleep is really good
Great.
actually, and it's
Wow.
interesting. I'm sure that reducing to half calf was a giant part of that,
Yeah.
and the meditation and learning how to be more calm in the night because I was certainly a nighttime ruminator. But my
Mm,
sleep, yeah, my sleep has improved greatly. During I would say, over this period. So I'm not seeing sleep issues, and I still
excellent.
I still wear the gloves every night, so I'm not picking
Okay.
during the night either.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's so important.
they
Uh,
help a lot. They help a
yeah.
lot for sure.
Okay, great. So the caffeine, so that helped you a lot,
A
reducing your
lot.
caffeine. And I know you've never gone to like decaf,
Not
even
a hundred
try it.
percent. Still doing a half a calf. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Would that be something you'd ever want to try just like in this bit to get the picking back to, close to zero or whatever, and then heal up your hands and then go back up if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I could just be off of it completely, it's the
Yeah.
headache thing that you get when you don't
Oh
drink
yeah,
anything.
you want to
But
go
yeah,
slow.
I'll have to go really slow, and because going down to the half calf wasn't too bad, but
Yeah. Yeah,
go
you
off
could
completely.
get some decaf and mix it with your half
Yeah,
calf now.
yeah, and see if I could wean myself off
Yeah,
completely.
go to
Uh,
that for a bit, see how that
Exactly.
affects you, and then, maybe the decaf because I mean, you're sleeping great, so
I
that's
am.
really good.
Yep.
Assume you're not kinda getting sleepy during the day big time?
No,
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, at the end of the day, I am
Mhm,
tired, but
mhm.
that's just from the number of hours that I put in.
Yeah, so it might be interesting to see, what
Yeah,
happens if you go to decaf.
right.
Could be, because a lot of us that do these behaviors we're just like too stimulated to drink caffeine. Yeah, there's like all the news is always all the health benefits of coffee and stuff like that. But a lot of the benefits are probably there in the decaf, the antioxidants and whatnot. And a lot of the research I think is done on men. So I think women are different in their sensitivity
Probably
to
true.
caffeine, and certainly a subset of women that deal with these behaviors seem to be more sensitive. All right. So still moisturizing and putting your gloves on at night. Great.
I am.
Uh Still exercising?
Yeah, actually doing more exercise,
All
took up
right.
yoga. as well. So
Okay.
doing yoga at least once a week. And
Yeah.
so that also helped, I would say, with the stress level and
Yeah.
the anxiety level as
Yeah.
well.
Super.
Yeah. And just good for the body overall, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like you're doing really well with all the lifestyle things. Probably also diet is good still.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
diet's pretty
Great.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that stuff is great. I mean, it seems like, just a little too much sitting without reminding yourself to move.
Exactly.
And then were you using anything like to hold on to or fidget with at the desk?
Yeah, I tried a lot of the fidget things and
Hmm.
it wasn't one of the most helpful things for me to
Yeah.
have the fidget things
Sometimes
around.
it makes people fidget more.
Yeah, maybe. And I don't know, it just didn't, yeah, it just wasn't one of the most successful things for me.
Okay.
Certainly for me, the squeezing of the fingers has been the most useful.
Yeah, great.
If I'm going to fidget, then fidgeting that way. Cause like you
Yeah.
said, the double benefit of kind of calming your anxiety. And
Mm.
even now, though I've started picking a little bit, it's nothing like I used to. So,
Mhm.
now I've got this high expectation for myself to do zero because I was for so many months doing zero. So,
Mhm.
but at least it's certainly, it's thumbs and it's nothing more than that. So
Mhm. Oh,
it
that's
is,
great.
it is better than, I haven't gone all the way back to zero. That's for sure.
Yeah. So do you want to show people like what your particular behavior is? Because I bet a lot of people
Yeah.
would be like, I do the same exact or
Yeah.
okay.
I do
Yeah.
this.
And
Right.
then did you used to, do your other fingers?
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. And
Okay.
sometimes like this, right?
Yeah.
So it's always, yeah, and a lot, and mostly when I'm not thinking about it, it's this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Picking at the thumbs. And, that seems to be the worst. And I'd pick at every finger in the past.
Mhm.
So all this movement too, I think you and I
Yeah.
talked about that also is something because I would feel it in my thumbs,
Right.
at the end of every night. And I mean, even though I'm doing it a little bit, that's
Mhm.
nothing like it was either. So
Mhm.
it does tell me I'm doing it less, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, and your
this
fingers look good
constant.
from here.
Yeah, they don't look bad. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I think I told you one time they looked like my 15-year-old hands for a while, even though they're
Uh-huh.
more than 50-year-old hands. So yeah, they
Yeah.
do. And another thing that I've done, and maybe this is helpful to people, is I keep my fingernails really short. So
Mhm.
I don't wear long fingernails, and I went for manicures quite a lot. So they would stay looking nice and
Mhm.
always have them cut them really short.
Yeah, that's a good tip too, manicures.
Yeah.
Wendy, I remember you had said in an email to me that you've been telling people sometimes about what you've
I
done
do.
and the responses that you received.
Yeah, I'm really surprised. I was at a retreat in Colorado, a meditation and yoga retreat, and we were sharing a lot with each other. And I mentioned that during COVID time, I'd been doing a lot of introspection and a lot of things for myself, and that I had, tackled the picking. And there was someone in the class who said, "Oh, I do the same," and I've never heard of a picking coach, and how great. And then I was at another event, and I'm trying to think where that one was, and talking to someone about it. Oh, I know. I was talking to the person who cuts my hair
Mhm.
about it, and she has a colleague who also um, does picking, and so she too was like, "Oh, this is fantastic. I'm going to suggest to her, the picking coach." Because I think people just don't. It's more common than we think, and I think people don't
Yeah.
realize that there are ways to get some support to stop.
Right. And yeah,
Yeah,
people quite often are just too ashamed to say anything to anybody. But as you and a lot of, other people I know at this point know when they tell people, like, it's really common to have that reaction of like, oh, I struggle with that too, or I know somebody who does, or I have something similar. And
exactly.
yeah, it's really great that you're sharing and that, you're willing to share on YouTube as well. So thank you so much for that. I know it's gonna be so helpful for people to see somebody like, hey, they do the same exact thing and like, oh my gosh, she's just talking about it like it's no big deal. That's so impactful for people, it really helps.
Yeah, I think probably like lots of people at first I was embarrassed about it,
Mhm.
right? Thinking, hey, are people seeing it? But
Mhm.
what you realize is it's just part of who you are. And it certainly helps other people when you talk about it. So,
Mhm.
that was when you asked me if I wanted to do this. It's like if it could help a few people, just
Yeah.
to some of the tips, I'm, more
And
than happy to do that.
thank you
Yeah.
so much. I'm so happy for this. Give Wendy a thumbs up, if you appreciate her doing this. And, feel free to ask questions in the comments or share your own experience too. And yeah, and I also am so appreciative of you for being one of my success stories, which I will also link the other ones, because
Yeah.
usually it's like, there's a generational thing, like people our age, like yours, my age group, usually are less sharing. Like people, in their teens and 20s don't think anything of it compared to like us older folks now. So it's nice to have that, too, just for like, because, somebody our age could look and be like, oh my gosh, all her success stories are people in their 20s, So I'm glad that they can identify, like middle-aged folks can identify also.
Exactly. Or that even if you've done it for a really long time, like I did, like
Yeah,
forever, or what felt like forever, that, it's still possible
that's a
to
great point.
change and stop. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, you can do it and I've had clients, a couple decades older than you as well.
exactly.
Yeah, it's never too late.
Right.
Anything else you want to share?
No, yeah, I think, just it takes work and it takes being mindful of it. It's not something that's easy to stop, and you have to keep on using all of the different techniques,
Mm-hmm.
especially the ones that work for you. And again, I think my biggest learning is when something, big happens in your life, whether it's a happy thing or even it still comes with some amount of anxiety or so you got to be mindful again through those transitions to kind of to stay with it and maybe double down on it a little bit more,
Yeah.
because there's a lot going on
Yeah.
with yourself, and so it's easy to slip back into old habits. And the, oh, just a little bit won't hurt, but once you do a little bit, it kind of cascades from there. So
Yeah.
I guess
Those
it's,
permission
not
giving
different from
thoughts.
any other kind of bad habit in that regard, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Very, very true. Yeah. Watching those permission giving thoughts again.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, having the answer ready, what to say to yourself in those moments where you're just like, just this one. So what do you tell yourself now?
Yeah, and it's a lot of not beating myself up, right? Not,
Yeah.
oh gosh, here you go again. It's okay, got to get back on track, right? They looked so great, like at
Mm-hmm.
Christmas, which, if you'll remember, was my milestone day when I said, okay, on Christmas morning, I'm going to be sitting on my couch looking at the sunny sky and my fantastically beautiful hands, which I did. And so it's like, okay, let's get back there. We've had this
Yeah.
doesn't look as good as you'd like it to look, but we know we can get back there. So, yeah, so more of a positive approach to it than
Yeah.
oh gosh, here I go again. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I know you can get back to it too. Yeah,
Yeah.
this
No, I
new
agree.
job is very stressful and disruptive to your routine that you had, and yeah,
Exactly.
but
Yeah.
and yeah, you let go of some things, but you get back. Okay, so
Exactly.
we have the, watching those thoughts and telling yourself, you were reminding yourself how good your hands look used to looking, you want to go back there.
Exactly.
And then possibly trying to reduce the caffeine, even though
Yeah.
that's something you
That's
haven't
my
done in
new
the past.
challenge.
So yeah, you don't necessarily need to do that, but I could give you a jump
Yeah,
start. Yeah, I want to give you
for
a
sure.
new challenge. And then taking more breaks, right?
Taking more
Anything
breaks.
else we said? Or is that
Yeah.
basically,
I
you're
mean,
still doing so much,
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah, for
great.
sure. And even, some of the things like, okay, maybe I should wear the gloves again when I'm driving sometimes, and some of the things that helped me get over the hump, for sure.
Mm,
The gloves have
mm-hmm.
been a good tool for me, and
Yeah.
bandage, if you do indeed have a spot that really, really bothers you, the band-aid
Oh
certainly
yeah.
have helped a lot too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bandage over
Yeah.
it,
Yep.
definitely.
Yep. So if you maybe going back a little bit, and using some of those techniques that I felt like I kind of graduated from. But I have my list at my desk because it's like, okay, when it's time to go back, because I tried every kind of glove, as you remember,
Mhm.
and I even tried the gloves that would allow you still to do the touch screen.
Yeah.
And I tried every kind of thumb cover, every thumb cover there
Mhm.
was for a while, till I landed at the right kind of bandages and things that worked for
Mhm.
me. So,
All right, Wendy. Well, thank you so
yeah, absolutely.
much. Yeah, and I hope this
To
was
check.
helpful for you
It
also.
is. It
I
is. It's
will,
always
I'm
helpful
sure.
to talk about it. I haven't gone back to zero. It's like, okay, it's
Yeah.
the couple of places on the thumb, but yeah, it used to be all the fingers, they'd be bleeding. I mean, it's nothing like that. So even
Yeah.
when you fall back into it, it's never, well, it for me, it hasn't been, all the way back to the way that it was. So
Yeah.
you're just
That's
much more
great.
mindful of it, I think, when you
Yeah,
catch yourself like,
definitely.
oh gosh, I don't want to do that. I don't
Yeah.
want to do that. It's
Yeah.
not this, I can't do that. I don't want to do
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So, but even, just even the gloves every night is a mind, sort of a reminder of, okay, I
Yeah.
got to keep good care of them and keep them,
Yeah.
non-pickable. Yeah.
Mhm.
know, it's all
Yeah.
this basic stuff that you just, yeah. And this job is awesome, but it's, yeah, it's just a lot to think about. So it's so funny how all of a sudden realize, oh my gosh, what am I doing?